NT marriage video. I'm going to be talking about signs of compatibility. This comes from somewhere on the internet, and it's just a curious list. I don't know if it's written by an expert necessarily. However, I think once you see the list, you'll start to realise that definitely has merit. So, to begin with, it starts with the word rises, R-I-S-E-S, and each word, each phrase comes from the first letter. So the first one is recreational intimacy. That's where you enjoy doing things together. And we go on hikes and things like that. Now, as I do this list, I feel like I did this video before, but I can't find it. So I'm doing it again just in case. So if you've seen it before, next. So yeah, recreational intimacy, doing things together. We do kind of like, we don't mind to hike and go to a cafe and things like that. However, they're few and far between. Actually, I wouldn't say that I really like the cafe activities much because they're around food, and food's kind of my nemesis. And the hiking is just too few and far between. We'll sort of say that we're going to go hiking, you know, at least once a month, and it ends up being once a year. So, yeah. We go camping a bit, but we haven't done much of anything actually since COVID. We're doing less and less, but there are things that we don't mind doing together, at least. They're just not done very often. Intellectual intimacy is when you both don't mind banter, you don't mind both don't mind silence, and the silences are comfortable. And do we feed each other intellectually? We do have silences, a fair bit of silence actually, especially since I've been grey rocking, and I don't really mind it, to be honest. I probably prefer it to those times when I start a conversation with him and don't really get a response, or a one-word answer, or at the end of a sentence he says pardon. So I would say this is definitely lacking in our relationship. Spiritual intimacy. Do our values align, and do we grow each other? Well, our values are aligned. It's one thing we do have in common. He's actually a Buddhist. I'm baptized Catholic, but not practicing. Although I suppose I still have those kind of Catholic values. You know, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not covet another man's wife. Anyway, we do have values in common. That's one thing that we have going for us. We don't necessarily practice our religions or any kind of religion, but I personally don't think you necessarily need religion to have good values and good morals, and we both have those, so that's one thing that we do have in common. Emotional intimacy. It's safe to be yourself. Yes and no. Like, I feel like I can be confident around him. So let's say, for example, I was sick for 5 days and I was just in bed for those 5 days, and by the time I get out of bed I look like a fright. My hair hasn't been brushed. I probably haven't had a shower in 5 days because I'm unwell, you know, things like that. And he won't judge. You know, there's times that he's had a cold or I've had a cold, and we're all sort of clogged up and tissues everywhere, and there's no judgment in that regard. So we can sort of be ourselves. That being said, I don't necessarily feel like great around him, or special, or admired. But I guess at least he's not calling me names and putting me down. Next. Sexual intimacy. Well, we both like the same things. Ooh, I guess. Guess we both like the same things, but then again, no. Oh, this one's hard to put into sentences, hard to put into words. Well, he's never tried to strangle me, for example, which I wouldn't like it if he did. There's certain dangers involved with that I just don't really wish to bring upon myself. And I'm not really caring to strangle him either, so I guess that's a commonality. Did I say not him? I don't want to strangle him. Anyway. But our sex is very tricky. We both kind of like it. Our sex drives are not necessarily the same. He's not really engaged in foreplay or anything outside of the bedroom. So in that sense, no, we're not compatible. He doesn't like to, say, flirt while we're shopping or anything like that. So no, we're not compatible. But at least I suppose we both have sex drives. He's not asexual, for example, and he's not hypersexual. Yeah. So we probably would have similar likes with regards to sex if it would flow and go kind of the way that I want or he wants. So, I don't know, I'm on the fence with that one. It's kind of a yes and it's kind of a no. So that's the rises. But there's also more that I've written down here that I'm just going to go through as well. A couple of questions. Do you miss them when they're away? Why does all this seem familiar to me? Why am I thinking that I made this video and yet I can't find it on my channel? Well, no. I don't really miss him when he's away. I'm more sort of thankful for the solitude, and that's mainly because when he's home it's just harder. We have so many micro battles and things we don't agree on and things that it's just easier when he's gone. And he'll sometimes call me at work and I kind of dread having the phone calls because they're the same old, nothing exciting, nothing new. But at the same time, I don't feel bad when he comes home. Not like I used to. It used to be really like, oh, he's coming home. And we'd all be frantic and eggshells and anxious. We're not like that anymore. So I don't dislike him coming home. In fact, I suppose that I'm sort of, I don't know, liking it more these days because he's less cranky. So it's kind of a bit more pleasant having him around. But like I'll go for a weekend away and I have no problems with us not communicating at all during that time. And he'll go camping for days and he'll let me know where he is and that he's still alive and things like that, because anything could happen. He, could fall off a cliff or something, so he likes to let me know he's okay. But we don't really talk aside from the odd text, so we don't mind that. Do you trust them? Yes, I definitely trust my husband. I trust that he's not going to strangle me during sex, without my permission especially. He's not going to clobber me on the head with a hammer in my sleep. He's not going to cheat. He's not going to get us into financial ruin. He is good with the kids and safe around the children, more so now that he's lost his grumpiness and they're older. When they were younger, I didn't necessarily trust him around the children. He was a little bit heavy-handed. But yeah, fundamentally I trust him. Like I know he's not going to go out and rob a bank or anything crazy. He's a safe driver. So yeah, I suppose that's a yes. I don't necessarily trust him with my mental well-being per se, because he has made the odd sort of off comment that, kind of sucker punches you. But he hasn't done that in a while, so bonus. So yeah, I'd say that I do trust him, and I'm pretty sure that he trusts me as well. Do you have compatible goals and lifestyles? He's action man and I'm lazy. I'll be the first to admit it. If there's a day I could lie in bed and just eat croissants and drink coffee, I would do that. Whereas he's like, nope, feet have hit the floor, it's go time. But then we do have the same goals in that we both wanted to work hard to buy a house, pay off a mortgage, save money, go camping and things like that, have like routine camping trips. So yes and no, we are two very different people, but I suppose maybe we do have the same goals and we kind of have the same lifestyle by proxy, but we're two very different people. That's my dog snoring. Can you talk to your partner about anything? Yes. Yes, I can. I could, I don't know, let's say that I went for a run and I had the runs and I happened to poop my pants, for example. Has never happened, of course, but let's just go with this. I could walk in the door all soggy boggy and go, oh my God, you wouldn't believe what happened. And he would be no judgment, you know, okay, you go and clean yourself up, you know. That is definitely how we sort of roll. We can be ourselves around each other like that. We can be open. We can talk about anything. The issues mainly are that we don't really talk in depth about much. So if I wanted to, I don't know, let's say I found a fact about parenting and I wanted to delve into the intricacies of said fact, like the long-term effects it can have on your child, the short-term effects it can have on your child, the generational effects it can have on your child. He'd just want me to say that one sentence is the fact I found. He might let me talk about all of that, but he probably wouldn't take it in, and he most certainly really wouldn't participate in that conversation. He'd just kind of sit there. It's almost like you're talking to a mannequin, you know? So I can talk to him about anything, but is that mannequin gonna reply? And likewise, he can come back from his camping trips and tell me the ins and outs of a duck's bum hole, as my cousin says. You know, I got up this time and I walked here and I went there and blah, 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 and I'll listen, I don't mind, you know. Or he can talk about some childhood memory he's got, things like that. I mean, definitely we can talk to each other. It's just not really in depth or really connecty. But it's still connecty in a sense that we're friends, good mates. Do we laugh together? Well, refer to my previous video of Is Laughter the Best Medicine? Yes, we do absolutely laugh together. I'm always telling funny jokes and he tries to be funny as well. Every now and then he'll surprise me and do something really hilarious. You know, like, okay, let's go with this. It's a bit TMI. Maybe I shouldn't go with this. He'll come up to me sometimes, for example, and stand there with his man parts hanging out of the fly of his boxer shorts, for example, and he'll just be doing his thing. Just waiting for me to notice. You know, he thinks that's kind of funny. Here's my man thing, you know, how long will it take her to notice, you know? And I might kind of look and then we have a chuckle, you know? So we do have at least that, you know? And I remember once I had a blood nose and I had the old tissue up the nose thing, you know, to try and stop it from bleeding because it wouldn't stop. And I just kind of go up to him and just stand there and wait for him to look at me with this tissue hanging out of my face. Just silly things like that. I mean, I wasn't even trying to necessarily be funny with the nose thing, but he had a laugh about it anyway, I guess because it was unexpected. He's not expecting me to look at me and see that. Anyways, that's just some random things that we've kind of laughed about. But I would say that we do laugh together, you know. Yeah, and it might be sort of, I suppose, childish humour. Like I told him a really cool sort of adult joke once and he did not get it. And I tried to explain it and tried to explain it and he still didn't get it. He was like, no, it's just not making any sense to me. You know, so we kind of have a childish humour, but again, as I've mentioned in previous videos, I think that's one of the things that bonds us. I think if I had a really sort of, I don't know, really more adult sense of humour and he had a real childish humour, or vice versa, it might not work. But then again, I mean, humour's humour to a degree. I mean, any laugh's a good laugh. At least I think so. So yeah, I'd say we can laugh together. Anyway, so that's it for me on this particular subject. I'm not sure if I have made this video before and why it seems so familiar to me. Maybe I made the video, watched it and realised it wasn't working because of a sound or something. I don't know. But anyway, if I have made it before and it's familiar to me, let me know. And can you relate to anything that I have said today? And as always, thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I really do appreciate it.